Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. This is the Apex Online Racing iRacing GTE League. We are back once again. It's season number 10, round number 1 here at Sebring. My name is King-Kodiak and I'll be one of your commentators throughout this evening's race. Joining me in the commentary box, I'm always happy to say, returning to my side, is the one and only graphics god himself, Mr. Nick Domino.
Hello.
And we also have, returning once again, is James Clay.
Always a pleasure. Looking forward to the new season.
Welcome back, gentlemen. We have got a big old grid ready to do battle here at Sebring. Let us see who we have got. Right then, some returning names, some new names, always good to see. Number 302, the Raptor Racing Team Orange BMW of Michael Mariani. We have got 375 is the Hyperion Racing CBA. Nice. That is the BMW of Jamie Smith. 318 Hyperion Racing Blood Orange Porsche of Cohen Van Eyck. 328 the Raptor Racing Team Red BMW of Daniele Mamano. New name to this to the league is the Estonian of Team Cruising Missiles. I'm not sure we should be worried about that or not. The 307 Ferrari of Michael Pari. Again, apologies if I'm not getting the names quite right. 366, the V3 Racing BMW of Merlin Cooper. We've got 377, and another one of the new entrants. Again, Team Cruising Missiles, Ferrari of Raimo Cooley. 370, the Raptor Racing Team Yellow BMW, the Swede of Alejandro Portagovi. 398 is the Team Tepper Reindeer Racing. Okay, they do have some unusual names over in the Tepper camp. Yes, Rianda Hamstra. Another new name to the league is Raptor Racing Team Red BMW of Simone Cecchi. And finally, the 346 Team Raptor Racing Team Orange Porsche of Luca Lodato. So once again, it is Sebring in the dark. Now, we have got some alterations to the tyre models and general handling. What are we expecting, gentlemen?
Tyre warm-up, I think, is the big word of the day. And probably word of the season with the new tyre model. Anyone who's watched iRacing on the AOR network before will have noticed that we've had the new tyre model on the Formula Renault and F3 cars. And having driven both of those quite a lot, especially in AOR, I can tell you that warming up these tyres is essential. It got to the point where we had the pro drivers doing some rather unorthodox things that iRacing didn't get too happy about with the tyre warmings. That's how important it was to get the tyres heated up and how hard it was, because they used to start a lot lower. We now have tyre warmers which help things, but certain cars heat up quicker than others, certain cars react to the cold tyres better. That's why we've had a lot of reshuffling on the grid. We've had, I don't even know how many new Porsche entries we have, but there are quite a few. I want to say about 17 or something Porsche drivers. A lot of people sticking with the BMW because it's quite a solid choice, but we've also had a lot of people move away from the Ferrari this season, which I think is probably quite a big tell as to what favourite the cars are going to be in the running order. But yeah, I think it's definitely thrown everything into the mix and has kind of just landed in a mess of things that we need to sort through and work out where the pecking order is now.
Yeah, and one of the things that is also really important this season is just to stay on track. As soon as these cars get onto the grass, it's just like driving on ice. So I think we will see quite a few cars this season actually go off track. I think we will see a lot more trying to stay within the white lines this season.
Yeah, I mean, one analogy I'd give to it is anyone who knows Paul Ricard and how they have the abrasive track on the outside there, imagine the exact opposite of that, and that's what the grass and gravel is like now. You cannot, like, if you go out there, as Reinder Henstra is currently demonstrating, the car does not stop. You press the brake pedal and it just basically does nothing. There is a negative grip on the grass.
Yeah, kind of shiny glass, ice and oil all mixed together to create what is now the handling model on the grass.
Yeah.
And with the walls quite close here at Sebring, when you actually get off track, they're not too far away. It's always a big concern because you quite quickly find yourself in them.
I can imagine. So, yeah, like I was looking at the kind of split of cars earlier during the practice session. Yeah, BMW still seems to be the strong guest, sort of giving a casual look down the list. I haven't counted the numbers, but the BMW does look like it's still the chief choice. But Porsche's got a much stronger representation this time, it would look like. Yeah, Ferrari does seem to be the odd one out.
Well, it's kind of a mix, but we will see a lot more of the BMW. BMW and Porsches are more in the pro field, and then we see, you know, a mix in the AMs, but we have like the Ford, they are just all pro AMs. I think we have one in pro.
We have James Pinsker in pro in the Ford.
Yeah, and everybody else is like a pro AM, and then I think the Ferraris are pro AM and AM drivers only. I don't think any pro actually have it. So I would say it's kind of split down. So yeah, the Porsches and BMWs like mostly pro drivers.
And also
no disrespect to the people lower down, but in those lower categories, it's more down to driver skill, how fast you are. But when we get up to the top end of the pro field, you're getting to the point where the drivers are so close on pace that most of the pace differentials would be in their car choice. So that's where it makes the big difference, and that's why you see people in the BMW and the Porsche up there, whereas down in the Anfield, it's more about what car you're comfortable with, and a lot of people will have driven the Ferrari for many seasons now, and so will be quite used to it, and that's probably why they've chosen it.
Yeah, indeed. Also what we're seeing, and this kind of comes back to what we were talking about with the tyre model, is lots of people doing lap on lap on lap on lap, which is not what we saw really much at all last season. It was do the lap, jump to the pits, and then go again, whereas people do tend to be lapping fairly consistently this time. Alejandro Portacorvi at the top of the tree with a 1:57.619. What we're still seeing is the very, very close times between each car. Just 43 thousandths of a second separate Portacorvi and Michael Mariani for the top two. Then it's Karen Van Eyck with a 57.724. Just another 600 of a second off the back of Mariani. Made a bit of a gap to Mamano. It's 2.5 tenths back to fourth position, but still time for these guys to complete their laps, although the Pro-Am should now start to get fidgety. Same sequence as we had before. The qualifying session split into 3 lots of 8 minutes, one for each category. The AMs go first, the Pro-Ams go second, and there you just saw, and we'll go to the blimp cam, we might see, you see at the bottom left of the shot, you see all the Pro-Ams starting to get fidgety. There we go, just see them at the bottom of the shot there. They are starting to get underway now that the checker flag is essentially out for the AM drivers. Anyone on a lap can still finish their time, but the Pro-Ams are now released. Let's have a look at who we have got.
Before you go through that, Alexander Portacorvi is Swedish. That name doesn't fit, or am I the only one?
Well, no, I did think that, actually, because I always assumed that Alejandro Portacorvi was either Italian or Spanish. But, yeah, it struck me as a bit of a surprise that he's Swedish. No disrespect meant in any direction. But, yeah, I had that same thought as well.
Sorry.
Moving on, then. So, 259 is the Team Tepper Ranch Racing of... That's the Ford of Gerd Sommers. 271 is the privateer entrant of Dan Alpole in the Porsche. 232 is the Team Tepper, I'm assuming it says Master Plan, Racing BMW of Tom Hooper. 251 is the Radicals Online Ferrari of John Goodwin, I believe is a new entrant to the league. 214, another new entrant, again another one of the Estonian posse that's joined us, all of which are welcome. The Team Dingo, unusual, of Andreas Lutus. I apologise in advance if I say Lotus. My brain has been trying to tell the mouth to say Lotus, and I will end up saying it at some point. Number 200, it is the Team AOR Ford of Saradov. 267 is the French entrant Philippe Gaillard for VEC Sim Racing Cyan. 245 is the Raptor Racing Team Yellow Ferrari of Stephen Bromfield. 278 is the Hyperion Racing TBA Ferrari of Rano Luke. 241 is the Hyperion Racing Blood Orange Porsche of Marvin Sluman. 242 the Team Tepper We are what?
Weeabor.
Weeabor.
Because there is a story behind that name. It's because one of the team is Rick Van Dorn, who is a weeaboo, and the other one, and Craig Dancy sometimes goes by the name of Borb.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's just where it comes from.
Well, I appreciate the story. There's a decent entrant there. So Team Tepper Weeabor, that is the 242 Ford of Rick Van Dorn. 217 the Team Tepper Turn BMW of Thomas Lagney. 293 the Hyperion Racing White Ford, and yep, he's done it again. Wrong one. He's got the grin on the front. It's Chris Yardley. I didn't even need to say anything before the season began, and the grin is still there. 294, a returning driver. We've seen this name before. Is privateer entrant of Alexis Boucher. 226 is the Team Tepper Master Plan BMW of Alex Schmidt. I think that's all of them. Oh no, I have missed a couple. 204 is Hyperion Racing White Ford of Victor Matios. 254 is the Team Tepper Weeabor BMW of Craig Dancy. So some new names and some returning ones. Anyone we're keeping an eye on so far?
I'm just trying to... It's just with the class shifts that I'm trying to remember who is and who isn't in this class, because I was about to say Alfie Lawrence, and I remember he's pro this season. Because he was very quick at the end of the season, and so, yeah, if he was still in Pro-Am, I would have put my bets on him. Yeah, I mean, we're sort of getting to the end of laps here, so I guess we can look through that. We've got a lot of Tepper drivers represented here, so they take up a majority of this class, so I'm presuming maybe one of those. I think I'm just trying to remember who's in this class, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a big class, and to be fair, it's also one of the classes where I think we have the strongest, the closest between the drivers. They are just so close. You can be fastest in race 1 and then you're the slowest in race 2. But I think Dancy and maybe Smith might be some of the contenders in that one.
Sommers, that was in. I'm trying to remember whether Sommers was in here, because he was a reserve driver last season, wasn't he? But he was quite quick when he did show up, and he's in the Pro-Am, so, and he's currently P2, so in a Ford as well, which it's not very much a Ford track Sebring, so maybe come later in the season we might see Summers getting, well, he's already on the sharp end of the grid, but you might get even better, maybe be looking at a pro spot, I don't know, but we'll have to see how that turns out.
Yeah, Gerd Sommers was in the top 10 in the practice session that preceded us, I believe, so well in amongst the pro teams. So, yep, I'd say that is a decent watch there. Stephen Bromfield struggled a little bit. He's already on 3 incident points. And, not sure why. He has done his outlap, but he's been off the road a few times in the Ferrari. So, he's struggling a little bit to keep that under control. Rick Van Dorn, he's come. Oh, wow, that big old twitch there coming out of 1016 onto that back straight. So, again, that's another sign that they're struggling a bit to get the tyres to behave themselves.
Rick, of course, missed last season, so he's also a returning face. It's like Boucher as well. So a couple of people that have taken a bit of a break and have come back.
It's also always interesting to see if Mrs. Duff can do anything this season. She's had some ups and downs. Some really strong performances, and other times just some horrendous races. So
Very true.
interested to see if she can get a championship run this season, because if she's at her best, I think some of the other guys might, they really need to be on their game to beat her.
Yeah, well, fair point. She's in 16th overall at the moment with a 57.901. And that's only 1.2 seconds off. It's not even that. It's not even 1.2 seconds off the top spot, and it puts her in 16th position.
I mean, we're gonna have to, again with the tire warming thing. She had an issue on her first. I don't know if she had to return to the pits because of it, and if she did, that's going to put her on the back foot, because if you have to reset, then obviously your tire wear reset, the tire temperatures even reset, and from that point onwards, your qualifying is basically ruined because you don't have the final lap where your tires are pretty much up to temperature and actually good to go.
Indeed, indeed. So Craig Dancy currently at the top of the pile with a 56.735, 600ths of a second ahead of fellow Team Tepper driver Alex Smith, and then Marvin Sluman for Hyperion on the third spot. Rick Van Dorn has put a 57.2 on the board and has immediately jumped out off the circuit. It's because our pros are about to get underway. The program section has flown by. Their 8 minutes is about to expire. Is Marvin Sluman going to make it across the line? Just. So he started his lap. He's allowed to finish it. There's all the pro cars getting ready to go. And they are now released. So let's have a look at... Oh, wow. That went very wrong very quickly for Marvin Sluman into turn one. He's head-butted the wall. So that is the end of his session. So let's have a look at who we've got in the pro category. Number 103, it's the Venom Motorsports and BMW, I believe. Yes, he is. It's John Hallowell. 152. We mentioned him already. He was a very strong contender in the Pro-Ams. And it's, of course, the Team Tepper Ranch BMW of Alfie Lawrenson. The champ himself. He's gone to the Porsche this time. Number one, it's Ross Woodfords for Radicals Online Sim Auto. Returning to us, well, he had a bit of an inconsistent season, Holstein, didn't he? He missed a few rounds, which cost him the championship, you could argue. Unless I'm going back too far. It's the 109 Comrade Gaming Black this time, Porsche of Christoph Holstein. 119, the Comrade Gaming White BMW of Blair Man. 162 is the Sim Racing Channel for the SRC Porsche number 162 of Roberti Edouard. 185 is the Tag Racing UK. I believe Andy Gorton was in a Ferrari last season. He's gone to the BMW this time around. 124 is the Comrade Gaming White BMW of Arjen van Putten. 121 the Team Tepper BMW of Rainer Talvar. 188 the Comrade Gaming Solo BMW of Martin Nedlik. 186 is the VC Sim Racing Magenta Porsche of Sylvian Moraine. 168 is the Team Tepper Ford of James Pinsker. 173 is the Venom Motorsports BMW of Michael Edens. 106 is the Team Shazoo Porsche of Michael Neumeier. And finally, the Treble 1 Porsche, Comrade Gaming Black Porsche of Alex Bennett. Lots of familiar names mixed in with some new entrants. Hopefully,
much bigger pro class this season.
I was thinking the same thing. For the last couple of seasons, the pro division has been a little smaller than that. There's a very big increase in pro, a very big increase percentage-wise on pro drivers this season.
Oh yeah, definitely. But we also have, over the last couple of seasons, had some drivers getting up here who has been really fast. And we have a lot of them actually returning to us this season. So that's why I think we have this huge amount of pro drivers. I am really interested to see Bennett this season because as we have talked about in F3 as well, he's really a driver who has been getting a lot more speed in the last couple of seasons in iRacing.
He was a double race winner last time out.
Yeah, I think he's a dark horse because last season his wheel broke, which were like why he didn't compete. So I think he might be a dark horse this season, to be honest.
The one thing you have to look out for is he has changed cars from the BMW to the Porsche, which I think is a really interesting dynamic we've got here, because our two championship rivals from last season, Holstein and Woodford, have both switched to the Porsche. However, for Woodford, the Porsche is a very new car to him. He has not driven it before. He was mainly a Ford driver, then switched to the BMW last season because the BMW was extremely quick last season. And this season he switched to the Porsche, whereas Holstein was a Porsche driver, mainly, back in the days when he was with Dominic at CRG. Those two would always be in the Porsche together. Last season he switched to the BMW because Curly wanted to be in the BMW, or Mr. Alex Bennett, rather. I'm so used to calling him Curly.
It's always been called worse.
He wanted to... he wanted to be in the BMW, so Chris switched to the BMW to be with the same car as his teammate, but they've both switched to the Porsche this season, which is obviously Holstein's favoured car of the two. So we might see the championship swing in Holstein's favour because he's in a car that he's more used to.
And it's also the car that has given him the championships before.
Exactly.
Indeed.
Yeah.
One thing that was really interesting though was Woodford on his hot lap was basically opposite locked the entire way through turn 1.
Wow.
It wasn't quick, let's put it that way, but somehow he didn't spin. But yeah, he's clearly fighting the car. The Porsche doesn't have a great tyre warm-up, so we'll see him come the end of the session. He'll be definitely doing his fastest lap, I would have thought. The BMW, I think, has slightly better tyre warm-up from what I can remember. We're kind of in the early phases of this tyre model, so I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure the BMW has slightly better tyre warm-up and is slightly better on the colder tyres, so it won't be until the final lap where the things sort of even out.
Indeed, indeed. Welcome to those that are joining us in the chat. Some familiar names over there. I see Mr. Kamke and Mr. Boniface joining us. Why aren't you on track? I'm disappointed. No, not at all. Great to have you on board with us. Rainer Talvar is our current poleman with a 156.420. James Pinsker is second in class, 4th overall. He is 2/10 down on that particular time. He's not long come out of the pits, so we will see how well he does. Never mind about that. We're talking about Mr. Holstein, and he has put in the pole time with 2 minutes to go, 156.317, and now Alfie Lawrenson has made a claim for the top spot as well. He's gone for
Bennett has bettered all of them.
Wow, hasn't he just? A 56.221. And Blair Mann is slotted into second with a Porsche.
CRG 123.
It is indeed. Wow. CRG coming out fighting. And then Talvar again for Team Tepper. 56. No, my goodness me. Every passing car.
This is what the tyre warming is doing. Is that everyone's just getting their tyres warmer and warmer, and they've just all decided, yep, I'm going to improve. No, I'm going to improve. Can we see a 55, though?
We're so close to it.
I think somebody can.
Yeah.
They've got another minute and a bit to do it. As Ross Woodford is now the pole time, as that's changed hands so many times. Talvar 2, Bennett 3, Mann 4, Holstein 5, and Lawrenson in 6th position. The top 6 separated by just over 3/10 of a second. You have to go down to 19th before you get out of a second from that new pole time. But wow, Ross is certainly making a big old statement of intent. I don't think he's going to have it his own way. We're used to seeing Ross just run off into the distance. Judging by these times, okay, it was very early in the season to start making that kind of prediction, I grant you, but he may not be able to just dance off into the sunset.
Maybe he had some hyper setups for the BMW that he hasn't quite acquired yet for the Porsche.
Yeah, all the others just have, closed up a bit to him. What we have seen?
We have a 55. He's done a 55.845, and he has parked it, so he will not be improving from that one.
Woodford's lap looking neat and tidy until he got to the penultimate corner at Le Mans. He got a bit sideways, which means he might have had a compromised exit onto the back straight, which is, of course, the longest straight on this track. It's correcting as he goes through Sunset as well. But what will it be as he crosses the line?
That was very wide, and Rainer Talvar has jumped up into second.
Ross improves, but not enough to take pole position.
And he remains in third, so it's Rainer Talvar that closes out the front row along with Holstein. There is Andy Gorton in the BMW. Does he improve from 10th position, 156.557? He does indeed. That's going to put him up to 6th in class. Well, 6th overall, of course. 156.270. Nicely done. Who's still out there? Halliwell is still going. Pinsker is still going along with Neumeier. So what does Neumeier do? That is a 57.3 in the Porsche, puts him in 21st position. You should have a look at it. I think James is coming up to the line. He is indeed. What can Pinsker do? 56.636, his best lap. His last lap was invalid, and that's a 56.2. That's going to put him in 6th position. Just knocks Andy Gorton out of that spot. Who is still going? I think it's just John Halliwell. He's come through the last stop. Last corner, penultimate corner. I'll get the right words in the right order in a minute. Goodness me, it's going to be one of these days. Let's see. Andy Gorton is still going. I don't think he's going to finish that lap from there. So John Halliwell, what can he do from 12th? 156.564. His previous best, and he's improved. That's another 56.2, and that puts him into 8th. Very close in that particular pack. But Christoph Holstein, wow, welcome back. And Andy Gorton has parked it, so he will not improve. So then Christoph Holstein for Comrade and Rainer Talvar for Tepper round out the front row. Then it is Woodford, Bennett, Mann, Pinsker, Gorton, Halliwell, Nadlik, Lawrenson, Dancy taking the Pro-Am pole along with Gert Sommer. So Tepper taking the front row in the Pro-Am class. Van Putten, Schmidt, Dove, Sluman, Lutus, Edens, Edouard, Van Dorn, Neumeier, Hooper, Goodwin, Gaillard, Pontecorvi takes the AM pole spot for Raptor Racing Team Yellow. Then it is Yardley, Mariani, Moraine, Van Eyck, Luke, Boucher, Cooper, Mamanos, Bromfield, Alpol, Cooley, Matios, Pari, Smith, Ladato, Mlagny, Henstra, Chechi, Riethmuller, and we didn't see a time from Riethmuller or Schiff. I didn't actually see Schiff at all. I did get a notification on that. He had an unserved penalty from previous season. So, yes, that's why.
Yeah, a penalty is, I think, it's 12 rounds or something like that. So, yeah, it carries on until you have served it.
The drivers have just put in the chats that they missed the sun because the sun has just disappeared as we've gone into the race session.
Yep. As we're very much into the darkness. Hello, Daniel Lindholt. Good to see you. It's a shame that we won't be seeing you on track. Can't. My heart still pines for the very bad luck that Daniel Lindholt had last season. Just couldn't. The only thing that he got a break in was his car braking, usually against the wall.
Shame because this season he was driving the Porsche last season. Porsche's now got sort of a buff in essence this season, and has actually got quite strong with the changes that have come in the update.
I'm sure he'll feel very good for knowing that.
Why is he not driving, Daniel? Why are you not driving? In the chat, why are you not driving?
We have demands here.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so it's going to be a full lap behind the pace car. As you can see, because Sebring is one of the older tracks, so we have a full lap behind. Is that it looks like a Mustang we have.
It is a Mustang.
As the pace car. Lovely job. So, what changes are allowed to be made at this point?
At this point, you can make any changes on iRacing. There is no such thing as park ferme. It doesn't exist. But once the race starts, so you can still go back to the pits right now and change your setup. But once the pace car pulls away and we start the race, you can basically change your brake bias, your traction control setting, your fuel mixture, and I want to say that's it. It might change in certain cars, but that is pretty much bang on it. Some of them might have a power steering setting that you can change in the pit stop, but yeah, it's extremely minimal once the race starts. And to be fair, you don't really tend to change them that often because they tend to be good settings all track around. You kind of just want to keep the same traction control settings and brake bias.
I see. So, the pace car leads us away. Christoph Holstein has the honour of being able to decide when he floors it, when the pace car pulls in at the end of the lap. We're used to seeing Mr. Woodford doing that one, but there he is in third position. So it's a Porsche BMW strong lineup at the front.
That's a good point, actually. When was the last time that Woodford wasn't on pole?
It would have been a while ago.
Because although he didn't win every race, he was so quick in qualifying last season. It seemed pretty much every race that he was on.
It certainly felt like it if he wasn't. So it was the vast majority of last season that Woodford would have been on that all-important top spot. This time he's got one but two cars to deal with if he wants that position again. Sylvian Moraine had trouble. Have we lost Sylvian Moraine from the race? Because his name has gone blank.
Oh, we might.
Oh dear.
iRacing as anything else at the moment is having some internet issues, so that might be a thing that we have been a victim of here.
Does happen, unfortunately. Lag and disconnections, although he has managed to gain incident points whilst his name is greyed out. Oh no, he's
in the pit lane.
He's in the pit lane. Okay, trouble already for Sylvian Moraine. That's not.
But he has appeared in the pit lane, which is always a good start because he does actually exist in the pit lane.
Indeed.
Which means that he might still be in the race. He might just have to do a pit lane start, which I mean isn't great because he will lose out. But if it's between doing a pit lane start and not starting the race, I'd much rather take the pit lane start.
Well, indeed.
Oh, and now he's disappeared, but he might have been just changing stuff in the escape menu. So we don't know. We'll have to find out.
Oh dear, trouble then for the VEC Porsche of Sylvian Moraine. He had a lot of trouble last season, I seem to recall. Last season was not a comfortable one for Sylvian.
Sylvain is quite a dynamic driver sometimes. He'll sometimes be really quick at certain tracks. Like Le Mans, he was really quick. Unfortunately, he took too little fuel at the first stop that he couldn't put enough fuel in his final stop to actually make the end of the race. But he was definitely set for second place had that not happened. And there were a couple of other tracks where he had really good pace, and there were other tracks where he just didn't seem to, whether he just didn't like the track or I don't know really what happened. But yeah, he just sometimes he'll have really nice pace and sometimes he won't.
It's the way it goes though, unfortunately, sometimes, as the 2x2 line is reformed. This must feel so tense, you know, you're just crawling along, especially this straight being so long. It must feel like it's never ending. You're like, come on, the turn's got to be here somewhere.
Yeah, especially that straight. It's just so boring sometimes.
You're just hoping that nobody in front of you is going to crash.
Yeah, no one's.
Especially on these new tyres, we need to watch out for spins in turn one.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because we've only got 45 cars to watch, but there we go. And Holstein has floored it. We are racing here in Sebring. A lot of flashing of lights, oddly. I don't quite know what people are trying to indicate there.
I think that might be just be cars disappearing and reappearing.
Yeah,
okay.
that's all graphics.
Oh, look at that. That's Woodford trying an inside manoeuvre already. Oh, and there we go. And there's trouble out the back of the field. We'll catch up with that in a minute. Philip Schiff will be getting... and that's Woodford off. Woodford's gone. Oh my goodness, he's had trouble already. Well, that's the cold tyres already playing a part in this race. Oh my days.
Ooh, Van Eyck is off as well.
There's been huge issues across the field. Gaillard and no, we didn't see what happened to Gaillard and Kurt Van Eyck. Can't really see in that particular shot. And well, there's someone already off. Oh wow! And that's the Porsche just suddenly slams into the side of Gaillard. That's very strange. And already we've got more trouble going on. That is as Henstra, I think.
Woodford is off again.
Yeah, Sarah Dove is backwards into the wall. My word! What on earth is this? Look at the bottom of the shot. There are two cars in the pro category sliding off. That's Sarah that's been binned into the wall. Brandon Luke is recovering from something even now. Oh, what on earth is this? Michael Edens has jumped back to the pits. What's happened to him? Oh my! Oh, huge crash! Yeah, so Well, that's a chopper cam for Michael Edens. I want to see who that is alongside. So he's gone into... What on earth happened here? Well, that's someone else having their own incident.
That's...
Oh, and there he goes. He's tangled up with the blue Porsche. I've forgotten who it is that's running that particular livery. Whilst all that was going on, Talvar has actually taken the lead of the race from Holstein. They're a good 2 seconds ahead. Andy Gorton now up into 3rd position. My word, that's impossible to keep up with in its entirety. And they're still going on. There's someone else off. That's Kuda. Oh my goodness, there's Lodato, I think, was spinning. This is impossible.
Huge incident at the Sunset Bend.
Yeah, Lagney is stationary. This is insane.
I'm just trying to like look back at half these ones that I've missed, and it's just like, I mean, the one that we couldn't even keep up with in turn 1 was involving Alfie Lawrenson. I can't remember. It was ACRG BMW.
Van Putten is off as well.
I think it might have been Van Putten, and then Pinsker, because what happened was Lawrenson went straight into the back of Van Putten into turn 1, which then caused Van Putten to go into the side of Pinsker, and Pinsker might not be happy at his Tepper teammate there for punting another driver into him.
It was Michael Neumeier. There was the blue Porsche we saw tangling up earlier, who was the one I said I'd forgotten who was running that particular livery. Look at that, Alejandro Portacorvi, our Pro-Am, one of our Pro-Am top runners, now at the back of the field, and that is Rienda Henstra off. What's happened to him? I'm going to spend most of my time in replay. I'm not sure if he got hit there. Let's just go back slightly there. I think that's cold tyres and grass. Yep, that's thrown him into the wall. Oh my days, this is absolutely mental. Rainer Talvar is indeed still in the lead. We do have some live action going on. I know I spent a lot of time in replay. There's so many incidents that have gone on. Oh, Nadley has got himself a slowdown as well. And through goes Dancy and Alfie Lawrenson. And Alfie Lawrenson, that's the BMW, just shot through into 5th position at the head of that particular shot. What's going on with Lutus? He's lost the position to Blair Mann. Michael Mariani and Bromfield side by side. Michael Mariani just demoted a spot, and right behind them, Alexis Boucher and Chris Yardley. Wowee, that's still going on. Andreas Lutus has just lost a spot to Rick Van Dorn. I think he's still suffering from a slowdown penalty there. Wow. Okay, we were warned. It's going to be a bit hectic, but this is, yeah.
This is crazy. Yeah, we have Nathan League and Summers fighting over P8 and P7, and Summers was so close. They were just like almost in the same space. Guys, you are in 2 different cars. Don't get into this.
Yeah, you can't get in.
No, exactly. Go around him, not through him.
We might need to send some of our drivers onto a cold tyre training course, because we've had just loads of people have just lost it by themselves and then hit other drivers because they've lost it by themselves.
Oh, down Alpol's lost another spot. That was James Pinsker. Wow, Pinsker all the way down there in 21st. So he hasn't come away unscathed. Let's have a look at where our class leaders are. So Rainer Talvar and Christoph Holstein leading the way by quite some distance. That's 3.3 seconds between Holstein and Andy Gorton, who's got Alex Bennett for company. So that's our top 4 in the pros. Craig Dancy leads the way in the Pro-Ams, up in 6th position. What a cracking effort for Craig. And his next in class is Gerd Sommers, who is about 2 seconds behind. And then 3rd in the Pro-Ams is Rick Van Dorn, who is another 5 seconds or so further down the road. And then the AM leader is Michael Mariani in 18th position. One of our few Italian drivers. Is it the only Italian that we've got with us today?
No, I think we have 2 or 3.
We have 3 Italians, from what I can gather. We have Daniele Mamano, Luca Lodato, Simone Cecchi, and...
Oh, yes. One of the few, so 4 Italians with us this evening. So
yeah.
Mariani leading the way. The next in line is Merlin Cooper for V3. He is about 3 seconds or so down the road. And then Jamie Smith, who's had several really, really bad seasons since winning the AM Championship a few seasons ago. And He's in a strong third position now. Looks like people are settling down and a bit of heat into the tyres, particularly Holstein on the back of Rainer Talvar's BMW. So now his Porsche started to come good. And Andy Gorton still got a lot of company there from Alex Bennett. And right behind Alfie Lawrenson, Craig Dancy, Martin Nadelik as well. So lots of battles going on. And speaking of, Yardley and Pinsker have just swapped round. That's a tower, I think, turn 13. No, it isn't. That's the hairpin. I always get that 7 and 13. I always get wrong from the camera angles, and I'm no doubt going to get them wrong again. So that was turn 7. They've just gone through. So James has had a horrific start.
Well, he was backwards in the runoff at turn 1 after the instance that went on there. So actually to get away and still be in 20th position, I think is quite lucky. One shout out I want to give to is to Stephen Bromfield. He's gone from 34th to 17th. He's halved his grid position from 34th from the grid, and it's only lap 4. So
indeed,
good job to him.
Yeah, there he is.
On the back of a Radicals driver, nonetheless.
Yeah, John Goodwin is a newcomer to the league, indeed, in the Radical squad, both of them in Ferraris. Right behind them is Michael Mariani, who does seem to be having some connection problems. I've seen his name descend down the field. That's James Pinsker looking to make another position, still working his way through the field. A great recovery drive from James, admittedly. Well, it's difficult to tell damage in the dark. And there goes...
He's got a big dent to his left rear. His pro sticker is quite bent, as is his rear left light.
So much work going into making those, and then he's just going on.
And his front left as well also has... basically, the left-hand side of his car is not very happy.
It's a bit mullered. Okay.
We also have, Russ Woodford, who... as we have a...
that's someone's...
Smith is off.
Oh, no, I commentated curse Jamie Smith. I think he went a bit hot into turn 1 there, because, that was right ahead of what you were just talking about.
Yeah,
Ross
exactly.
Woodford.
Woodford, in P28 on the last lap, and is now actually not slowly, but quite quickly gone up through the field, and
he kept it out of the wall, though.
Take Momano over here to get P24. Interesting to see if when he get through the AMs and the Pro Am field, as I think he will, how far into the pros he can get, because if you want to defend that championship, this is not a great way to start the season off.
And he's on 10 incident points already.
Oh yeah.
Now you're gonna have to remind me what the rules are on this one. So this is one rule I forgot to look up. Are we still doing 18 and then stop and go?
Yes, 18 stop and go, 24 for disqualification. Just as you were focused on Woodford, he went through a part of the track that had some lighting, so I've managed to have a look at his car, and it is basically scratch-free, dent-free. The car is in one piece and looks as pristine as it was at the start of the race.
Wow.
So if he does get into clean air, he should be able to do his normal sort of pace. However, the spins might have impacted his tyre wear, and that's one thing we will get onto as we get towards the pit stops, is the tyre strategies this season with the new tyre wear, because they have possibly changed a little bit.
just a little bit.
Pinsker's gained another one. He's gone on the inside of Stephen Bromfield into the final turn, into 17th position for him, as most people have kind of settled now. Oh, that's Chechi and Philip Schiff. So Schiff starting from the pit lane, and Simon Chechi, a new coming to the league. Oh, that's Mariani. There's got a lot of company around him. Yardley's gone through. Looks like Boucher is about to do the same. What's going on with Victor Matias? He's been overtaken by Alex Smith into turn 1. And I think Boucher has gone past. Now, this won't really affect Mariani too much. These are not people in his class. So these are people that he'd had overtaken through misadventure or through on-track or lag, as his case has just gone through again.
But he doesn't want these drivers to overtake him, because he's losing a lot of time to Cooper, who's getting closer and closer and closer, as we see right in front of him.
Oh, that must have been quite scary for Merlin. There is. If we just go back slightly, we go on the nose cam, which is actually on the bonnet this time. Bang! There he goes. That must have been quite terrifying for Merlin there, because you as a driver, and I have done some league racing, as there's one of our other Italian drivers, there's Luca Lodato. I think he's made a mistake, and recently has gone through. He's now got some company there from Archie Van Putten and Sarah Dav. Flash of the lights, I think he's let him. Well, that was a bit odd. Oh, that was Sebastian Riethmüller flashing the light saying thank you very much. I think Lucas let me know. Yeah, so when you're in the zone, you're kind of planning several corners ahead, aren't you? You're thinking about how I'm going to approach the next set of corners, bearing in mind I've got this person, that far ahead of me, and suddenly, bang! Somebody appears from literally nowhere right in front of you. That's got to be a little bit clenching.
It really is, and actually when you're going into the corner once, before you're actually hitting the apex, you're already looking at the outside of the corner. So you're not even looking at where you are. So yeah, and when it just appears out of nowhere, you're just like, what just happened there? And as I'm just following up slowly on Woodford, he's using his #1 status to quite an effect. Cooper just, went off the track almost just to let him by, and nobody's really fighting him. People are just letting him by almost because there's no reason to fight him.
Alex Smith just had a bounce off of newcomer Mikael Pauri. They came together door to door. Victor Matios as flashing the lights. I don't think Alex Smith was very happy about that. No, if he feels there's action to be taken, that's up to the stewards. I think the stewards are going to be very busy after tonight's race.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, usually this community is fairly kind of forgiving when it comes to incidents, but I suspect that's not going to be quite the same way. And Alex Smith's actually on the highest incident count. He's on 12, and we're only on lap 7.
I mean, it sends a bit of a message. If everyone goes to the stewards room this race and actually starts reporting people for things that have happened on this first lap, it does send a message to people to say, look, right, next week, you can't win it on lap 1, but you can certainly lose it on lap 1. So sometimes just be a bit easy on the throttle, on the brake, and just try not to hit anything. That'd be very much appreciated.
Bennett Cooper has taken over the lead of the AM class. He's gotten ahead of Daniele Mamane. I think that's the lead of the AM class. It's always very easy for us to tell. But if I'm correct, oh no, Mariani. It's Mariani's lag that keeps catching me out. So
yeah, that's kidding.
Yeah, so Mariani's right there. I mean, he's only 8/10 behind Michael Mariani. Sluman and Pinsker swap around, so James Pinsker now up to 15th position. Ross Woodford's just made his way past Alexis Boucher for 20th. Oh dear. Ross will be. I mean, if Ross gets into a decent top 10 spot, he would have feel that was a race, the race of his life if he's gone from that far back.
Well, he has taken 8 drivers in 2.5 laps, so it's not unrealistic.
Well, he's only 23 seconds off P3, so anything can still happen. I mean, for Ross's standards, that's actually, last season at least, was an achievable gap. Was 23 seconds over 3rd place, but now that he's switched cars, maybe it's not the case.
Trouble for Michael Mariani. Oh, there we go. The tail just let go. Oh, what a big punch in the face there from, I think it was Merlin Cooper. It was indeed. Daniele Mamano tried to take the lead side by side for a few corners, but no. Cooper does manage to hang on to that one. Oh, trouble for Andy Gorton. Oh,
I think he had a huge lag moment there.
Yeah, I think he has. There he is. So he's. Oh dear. And we've lost Rienda Henstra. Another one has gone. Not sure what's happened to him as he was left this session now. Mariani is falling through the field. Mariani is in big trouble. What's happened to him? Oh, there he goes. He just wandered off the road. And in trying to kind of recover and not spin, he's lost a whole bucket load of positions. He's now down in 34th place. It looks like he's going to continue to lose spots as well. And there's another lag moment there.
Yeah, it might be the lag that is coming to get him now. And I think he might have had some issues himself now.
Merlin Cooper and Daniele Mamano for the AM lead, side by side. The BMW is streaming towards turn 1. Mamano in the lead of that particular battle. And Merlin Cooper, I think, is going to have to concede that one. But it's certainly got the pace to keep the challenge on. Now, another thing we always talk about when you've got, you know, someone following someone else. I'm referring to Holstein and Talvar. Holstein's been in the slipstream of that BMW very early on. We tried our best to keep up with all the craziness going on lap 1. But is Holstein just holding station, do you think?
For now, he's probably thinking about it because these two are so close on pace that going for an overtake is you have to be in the right place at the right time. Not to mention the fact that the BMW is faster in a straight line than the Porsche, which makes it even harder for Holstein to make the overtake on track. But if you think a bit more of the long game, tries to think on strategy, there's a very, very high chance that he could get Rayner via the strategy. One thing that has been known about Rayner over the past couple of weeks while we've been doing races at Sebring, the Sebring 12 hour, the Sebring 90 minutes, the Sebring ILMS and IMSA races, is that Talvar has bad tyre wear, extremely bad tyre wear. And I don't know whether Holstein knows this, but I know that Holstein's teammates do, so they're probably telling Holstein in whatever call they're in that Rayner does have bad tyres, so just sort of stick with him. Come the end of the race, if he hasn't switched tyres, then he should be sort of a sitting duck almost, because it's just doesn't look good for him. Let's put it that way.
Gorton trying to make his way back through the field. Romano and Alex Smith have swapped round, I think. No, I beg your pardon. That's Arjen van Putten has gone past. Romano, Ross now gone past the grinning forward of Chris Yardley into 19th place. He's got quite a gaggle of cars here to work through as Ross. That's the view from the bonnet of Ross Woodford. So he's got Stephen Bromfield directly ahead of him, then John Goodwin, John Halliwell, Marvin Sloom, and then Andy Gorton before he finds any kind of gap whatsoever. So people could jump out of the way. They're not obliged to. You know, Ross, that's the same position that they're all finding for. Ross is going to lap up. But again, it's all down to realistically what fight are you in? Are you going to cost yourself time trying to keep someone behind you? Oh, trouble for Roberti Edouard. What has happened to you? Just too deep into a turn and then onto the grass. So not too bad. That's Rick Van Dorn and Andreas Lutus that's gone past him. He didn't lose too much time on that one. It keeps his car going nonetheless as Simone Cecchi has come into the pits. That's an unusual way of parking your pit box, sir. But, oh well, as long as you're getting service, that's all that really matters. So yeah, Cecchi has made his way into the pit. That's a very early time to pit.
Yeah, I think it's a bit
You might just about make it though.
Yeah.
Lead two, just half a second apart. Holstein lapping within, well, near enough a tenth apart from Talvar. They were very close. Oh, trouble for Rick Van Dorn. That's at the final turn. What's he done? Oh, the tail just completely went.
When he kept it out of the wall, that was impressive.
He did indeed.
And he's only lost a couple of spots from it. He's lost one to Pinsker, who he's probably going to end up losing it to. And he's lost one to Roberti Edouard. Woodford got past Bromfield last lap, and the car in front of him I don't think is going to put up too much of a fight, being his teammate. Past that, he has still got an enormous train of cars, but that's kind of also what you want in this position. You want to be able to see yourself getting through the cars, because when you have that feeling of I'm getting through the field, it's kind of psychologically it gives you the will to keep going, whereas when you've had an incident that's put you behind the back of the field and you're like 15 seconds behind the next car, and although you can see the gap getting smaller, you're like, it's going to be like 7 laps till I actually find civilization, I find another car. And it plays on your mind a bit more, whereas Ross can see that he's getting through people, he can see he's getting up the order, and that will help him psychologically to keep pushing on.
And the next car that he's going up to is Halliwell now, which is for a pro class position as well.
Yeah, and seeing those pros means that he'll be seeing those points essentially in front of him, and he'll see the points that he's gaining as he's going through the field.
So Ross Woodford doing what he can to recover from the troubles early on.
Holstein's getting close, within 3 tenths of a second now.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on that. And again, a couple of tenths quicker. Holstein was over Talvar, but I think he's just going to hover there for a period of time. We'll see, there's still plenty of battling going on. Oh, that's Andy Gorton and Tom Hooper swapping around. I think Tom backed out of that as Tom is in the Pro-Am category, Andy in the Pros. And he's got, it's James Pinsker, who his next target is 3 seconds down the road. Just about to see him at the top of the shot there. And there is James on the back of Roberto Edouard. 11th position overall. Craig Dempsey, our pro, we haven't looked at him for a while, he's our Pro-Am leader, and now up to 5th place. So once again, the Pro-Am lead, Pro-Am front runner was Alfie Lawrenson last season, who is the card already ahead of him, incidentally. There is Alfie. And Craig Dempsey doing a great job for the Pro-Ams.
Oh, definitely.
Gert Zommers is the next Pro-Am down the road. He is about 5 seconds down the road indeed. Gert very much on his own. Oh, and that's Merlin Cooper and Sebastian Riethmüller swap round. Cooper is he on? Not quite, no, he's second in the AMs, if I read this correctly. Our AM leader is now Daniele Mamano in the BMW.
Yeah.
Second is indeed second is Merlin Cooper. Third is Luca Lodato. Jamie Smith, after his spin earlier on, is in 4th class, 32nd overall.
Mr. Eduardo, you're naughty boy.
What's he done?
Keep flashing. Who was it? It was Lotus who was in front. I said it first. Who was in front and was not him. Was it Van Dorn?
James Pinsker is on the back of
I can see. There were a driver in front and he was just keep on flashing him. But it might have been actually justified. It might have been... I will have... Ooh, alright. My mistake.
Yeah,
it was a slower driver. Yeah, it was a slower driver.
Simone Chetty has come out of the pits right in the midst of a lot of traffic. It's a little bit unfortunate for him. Trying to stay out of the way.
The lights can be extremely useful at night when you are lapping people as well, because it's very noticeable when you're getting flashed at this sort of time of day, because yeah, the iRacing headlights might not be effective sometimes, but when it comes to flashing people, they do tend to work in that.
Yeah, they're quite effective at that.
Blair Mann's actually got to keep an eye on the incident count. He's in double figures already. And we are 55.5 minutes remaining of this race, so he's a long way to go. He's already on 10 incident points. There's Ross, what's he on? He's on 11. Alex Schmidt's on 12. So a few people need to be thinking about how they're behaving. We do still have quite a few zeros despite all the craziness going on, as Blair Mann lags for us slightly there. Christoph Holstein is one of them. He's on 0 incident points. Rayner's got 1. So bonus points still potentially available for Christoph if he's able to hang on to that. But with what we've heard from the updates of the tyre model and what have you, that sounds very, very difficult to achieve. And that is Pontecorvi. No, they've just gone past. Gaillard? Yep, it was Philippe Gaillard they've just gone past. Who after 4.5, nearly 5 minutes in the pit, has returned to the track. So has actually Michael Edens. After spending nearly 18 minutes in the pits. He's 8 laps down, but it's on track nonetheless.
That's commitment.
Okay. I think it's really important that these drivers keep driving. As we've seen on lap 1, how with the new tyre model, people aren't really used to it. So it's sort of like in real life when people launch a new car in sports car racing, or when we get to a single-seater season and we've got obviously a new car for everybody. They always want to do laps, even if they're 17 laps down or 70 laps down, whatever the case may be. They always want to just do laps to get the relevant data in that sense. But in this case, it's just learn how the tyres are, learn how they respond in this 80-minute race, because that's what's unusual about the AOR sessions, is that we do have a different race length to normal. So things like fuel and tyres, the strategy is very different, and how the tyres react to it is very different. So it's always nice to get learning, especially when we've had this tyre change, and I think drivers might find it useful just to do more laps, and that's why it's good that they've got out there.
Fair point. Very fair point indeed. As the lap count continues to drop, Rainer Tavar has got himself a little bit of a gap now between himself and Holstein. There it is, about 0.8 of a second. Then it's 7 seconds back to Alex Bennett, who is very much on his own. Another 3 seconds back to his next position. We've got a few changes of position. Luca Lodato is side by side with Philip Schiff. Oh, a big flash of the lights there from Luca, who was not happy about that. Let's see what happened there. Well, Philip Schiff is in a different class. I think Luca is in the AMS. He's the Porsche. Oh, that'll be what Luca wasn't happy about. Bit of an impact between the two. Although Luca didn't actually get an incident point for that. So
it might be either a 0x contact or a desync contact, in which case they probably won't have much lasting impact on their races in terms of damage or anything.
Andy Gorton does an inside manoeuvre on Rick Van Dorn, 12th position. Nice and clean and straightforward there. That is 12th spot. It's Hag Racing UK BMW. Here comes Ross. Oh wow, he's not wasting any time. Dives on the inside of Rick Van Dorn. I think Rick kind of let that one go. He wasn't interested in getting into that particular battle, or he was very late taking the apex line.
That is the number one elbows up there. You know, get away from me. Get away from me. I just wanna apologize. I can see that on the overlay, people can't see the times or the lap time. I hope to get that fixed for next race. We are having some issues with the program at the moment. We are with the 51 minutes left of this race, and it says that it's about 42 laps. We will see that's a estimate, and we are at the moment on lap 15.
Indeed. So lap 15 out of a potential 42 is where we currently stand. I wonder if Andy Gorton is going to give Ross a bit of a hard time. As you would expect, Ross Woodford is lapping at leader's pace. His best lap was quicker than the leaders last time around. The fastest lap, if I read this correctly, is currently sits with Rainer Talva with a 56.0 on the board. Ross is doing a great job, and we did say he'd be inside the top 10. He's knocking on the door of it.
Well, speaking of someone who is actually in the top 10, is James Pinsker managed to work his way up now from that spin into the top 10, and I'm sure Ross won't be far behind him.
As we have the first pit stops with Garrett Summons, Lawrenson and Dancy at the same time.
Indeed, 3 BMWs have come in, 2 Tepper, 1 Comrade.
Ross Woodford was really close there as the car in front of Andy Gorton was taking the pit entry, and Ross was sort of, I don't know whether he was looking to the inside, he was just taking a really tight line, and their 2 cars got very close together.
Risky business, but that has put Ross in 8th. Yeah, big swathe of pit stops going on. Lawrenson, Nadelig, Dancy, Gorton, Halliwell, Sluman, Edwards, Hooper, I think. No, Hooper may have actually continued. The names change around for me so much, it's difficult for me to tell who was in the pits and who was not.
I'm really interested to see how, if the overcut is strong or if the undercut is stronger here, because we saw in the race that we commentated on here last night, that is actually up on YouTube. You should see that after this one. That the pit stop did mix it up quite a bit actually. So it's interesting to see. And I won't tell what happened at that race because you guys need to see that. That was amazing.
Oh yes, but after
the interesting thing with because obviously having raced the F3 car in those, I wasn't in Zandvoort of course, but in that is that because we have mandatory tyres in that race, you tend to want to go for the overcut because you have the warm tyres versus the cold tyres. But what's going to be really interesting in this GTE race is whether drivers actually take tyres or not. Because I think if someone takes tyres, then overcut is going to be extremely strong. Because not only will you have lower fuels, you'll have warm tyres as well. If someone doesn't take tyres, then I don't really know where it's going to sit. You could see undercuts working, you could see overcuts working, but I think the actual whether people take tyres or not will be the interesting dynamic, because if you're going to take tyres, you want to take it at this first stop so you get the benefit of the fresher tyres for more of the race.
Top 8, top 9, yeah, we're looking at pretty much everybody else pouring into the pits now. Here comes Goodwin, and he comes, oh, that's Yardley that's carried on. I seem to remember he was one for doing that last season, seemed to be out of sync with everybody else.
Oh yeah, but the Ford is also...
Ross Woodford just missed his pit block. It's not going to help him as he's climb up the field, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and no, yeah, just to go back to Yardley, the Ford is really, really good on the fuel as well, so they normally can do a lap or two more, depending on how much fuel saving and how, you know, they have been going. So, you, if you can, you know, you wanna use that.
Very true. Someone in the chat is asking, what car is Pari racing? Mikael Pari is in the Ferrari. There he is, only in 34th. Very much on his own. He is 6.5 seconds behind Koenig and about 8.7. Oh, never mind that. Thomas Lagney was going backwards. What has happened to you? You go. Just a little bit too much gas. And won't thank me for highlighting that, I'm sure. But Rainer Talvar has come back out in the lead. It is now 2.2 seconds ahead of Holstein. They came in the pits at the same time. Holstein was in the pits. His stop was only about, what, 0.3 difference, but he'd lost a second in the pit lane alone. So either Holstein missed his pit box as well, or he was just a bit slower getting out of the pit box. But Talvar has decided he wants to get some breathing space.
One thing can you check for me is what was Rick Van Dorn's as he's battling Andy Gorton, who has just had an incident with Roberto Edouard as he was trying to go for the move on Van Dorn.
Yeah, and there he goes. Oh, a huge incident there. Ouch.
Woodford lucky to not get involved. But what I wanted to ask was what Van Dorn's pit time was, because he managed to jump Woodford. Of course, that was partly because of Woodford missing box, but he seemed to gain a bit of time on other people around him as well, and I had heard him talking about short filling a little bit in the first stop to try and gain some extra track position, and I don't know whether he did.
It doesn't look like it. He is a pit stop of 20 seconds.
Okay.
So I don't
Oh,
think
Blairman's in trouble. Blairman is in trouble. What's he done?
He's gone off, and
he has gone off
tunnel.
and into the wall very heavily. The BMW will not like that. It's a solid beast, sure, but someone else had a problem behind him. I don't know who. That's an AM.
Michael Mariani.
Oh, Michael Mariani had trouble as well. Oh dear, oh dear.
But with Blair there, you can see a very clear demonstration of the grass not being your friend and instead just being your one-way ticket to the barrier, because although even if the grass was as grippy as it was before, you still probably wouldn't have stopped, but he just didn't slow down at all. He slowed down, I think, about 10 kilometers per hour between leaving the track and hitting that wall, and he was probably full on the brakes. So yeah, the grass just has zero grip.
A driver that is really interesting to follow now, because I think he has taken tires, is Summers. His pit time was 48 seconds. So
about right.
I think he might have taken tires, to be honest.
Interesting story about Sommers was that he did a race simulation that he showed me. That after the first two stops, he had 26% of his tyres left. At that point, so it doesn't surprise me that he's taken an extra set, because if iRacing had punctures, I think, well, if it does secretly have punctures, I'm pretty sure he would have found it otherwise.
They actually do have. We have seen punctures.
I know they have them on the NASCAR side. I don't know whether they have them on road.
They also have them on road, but they're just really, really, rare. We have seen them on some of the Daytona prototypes at one point.
answer your question, Rick Van Dorn's, apologies Nick if you answered this one, but his pit stop time, he was only stationary 20 seconds, which is near enough the same as everybody else. So he did a similar kind of...
Yeah, I wasn't sure because he talked about it before the race, so I was slightly intrigued.
John Halliwell did a short stop though. He was in the pit lane 6 seconds, in the pit stop 6 seconds less than everybody else. Yeah, that'll be fun to watch.
I also just want to give a cheap plug to myself. I've made a spotter's guide for all you viewers out there. If you wanna see your favorite driver, what kind of car and skin they're in, you can link that in the description. Exactly. So you can go in then and have a look, just to get a overlook of who's in what car, and maybe have a bit more than we have overview.
John Goodwin and Chris Yardley are fairly close together. That's 19th position overall. Not sure what that is in terms of programs. It's about 7th or 8th, I think.
Holstein in the battle
he's
for
losing
the top
time, isn't he?
Bit, yeah, he is losing time. He's also now having a backmarker to deal with, but
that is Thomas Lagney.
Yeah, Team Pepper backmarker as well. Maybe there could be some conspiracy there, holding up Holstein to.
I don't think so. That looked fairly good.
Yeah. No, but it just seems that he's struggling a bit now that he's out of the slipstream and not having that extra top speed as you did mention before, James, that the BMW has more top speed down the straight. Looks like he's now missing that differentiator of being in the slipstream.
Ross Woodford is now
10th.
Trouble for Dancy. Craig Dante, I was just about to say Ross Woodford's in the top 10. Whoa, he missed his braking point by a long way and did very well not to slam into the back of Martin Nadleek. He didn't lose a position, he just lost about 4 and a bit seconds off of Martin there. But he's leading the Pro-Am still by about 15 odd seconds, so he hasn't got anything immediately to worry about. But wow, that could have gotten very nasty. But again, there was an incident like that on lap 1 going into turn 7, was where we had someone who just missed their braking point and wiped out about 3 cars. So it was almost an instant replay of that, but luckily the dancer got away with it. Oh, that's Gert Zommers making a move on Arjun van Putten for 17th position. Arjun's not willing to let that one go.
Van Putten's car is extremely dented on the rear. I think it's safe. I think that's come from some lap 1 scuffles with other people.
Yeah. Will that be making a big impact on his performance?
Yes, his straight line speed will be severely impacted. So we'll probably see as we get onto the straight with it depends how close Geert is. Van Putten's gone a bit wide though as he's gone through the first apex of this S section at Le Mans. But Geert appears to get a good exit, and it should be very apparent now that the straight line speed difference is going to be, especially considering the fact that the Ford is the slowest car in the straights and the BMW is probably the second fastest car. It's very close up there with the Ferrari, and he just breezes past Tom in some
turn it in? Yeah, he should be able to get that one done. Ooh, is Van Putten going to look on the inside? That's a slow Ferrari right ahead of them. Is that Bromfield?
That's Bromfield indeed. But someone's got a better drive from his wider line and fresher tyres as well. Let's not forget he took tyres in the pit stop, did he not?
Oh, yeah, we believe he did, yes.
Oh, yeah, we believe he did. And with the tyre wear that he's supposed to have come the end of the race, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. So, yeah, just now needs to push on, use those fresh tyres to his advantage and try and get further up the pack.
Holstein is now 4 seconds behind Talvar, so was Holstein actually pushing really hard just to maintain pace with Talvar, and now he doesn't have the slipstream? He's now falling further behind. Is that a possibility, or is Holstein biding his time?
I mean, Talvar is quick. He's been very quick this week.
Oh,
he's done many races.
Oh no, that battle we've just been watching, Bromfield and Van Putten have come together. Oh, and there goes the BMW of Arjun van Putten. He's had a big spin and unfortunately just caught Stephen Bromfield, a bit of an innocent bystander in that. Oh, well, again, same place. That's the hairpin.
It's such a tricky braking zone because, I mean, I'm sure that Nick will back me up on this. It's one of those ones where you feel like you brake earlier into it and you somehow stop less, and it's really disorientating because you feel like you can brake so much later for it, but you just can't, and it's honestly one of the trickiest braking zones I've ever come across, that corner. It always catches me out. And so I'm not surprised to see so many people missing their braking points into there, especially in the dark, not being able to see them as easily. And yeah, it's a very common thing to happen.
It's a corner where you're like, you know that you need to brake earlier than you actually think you need to. And every time you get to the corner, you're like, oh, I could brake a bit later. And then you try and brake a bit later. And suddenly you're like, I hit the wall. That was maybe too late. and it's such a fine margin of, braking too early or too late. So that's definitely where we also might see the difference between the classes, who's actually getting that braking point correctly.
Indeed. Let's have a quick rundown on who is where. Rainer Talva was under threat from Christoph Holstein for quite a long time, but now leads the race by 4.3 seconds from the comrade Porsche. Well, Holstein either made the mistake or Rainer Talva has just decided to absolutely hoon it, as he lost a full second to the leader last time around, did Christoph Holstein. Then 8.8 seconds back is Alex Bennett. He's been in that third podium spot for quite a while. There's Arifie Lawrenson in fourth and Martin Nadalik in fifth position. Craig Dancy leads the way in the Pro-Ams. He was having a bit of a wiggle there as he was coming through turns 15 and 16, but continues on his way nonetheless. Second is Andreas Lutus, who has got Ross Woodford right on his tail. Ross has got 13 incident points, but we are starting to get towards the well into the second half of the race now. So Ross's incident limit increase has slowed down, which is good to see. And then second in the Pro-Ams is Rick Van Dorn, who is about 7 seconds down the road from Andreas Lutus. Oh no, big pardon. Sorry, Andreas is second in the Pro-Ams. I'll get that right in a minute. Rick Van Dorn third. Then another couple of seconds down the road is Tom Hooper, who is on 0 incident points. So he's done pretty well to keep the 0. And it's Marvin Sluman. Oh, right behind them is Gerd Sommers and Alexis Boucher. Gerd using what we suspect is much fresher tyres to his advantage. Leading the way in the AMs is, oh, never mind what's going on with Philip Schiff. He's had a slowdown warning, I suspect, from that last turn. He's just lost the spot to Matthias, Dove and Romano. Luca Lodato is our AM leader in 26th position overall, with Jamie Smith. Now Jamie is actually only 1.3 seconds behind Luca Lodato, so Jamie could still look to challenge for the class win. And third is Merlin Cooper, who's 6 seconds down the road. Now Merlin was right up there looking for the really starting to challenge for that class win, so that's undone itself a little bit post pit stop. Are we looking to see a second pit stop, do we think, James?
Easily. There is.
Saradov. Oh, sorry to go off there, James. Saradov is recovering. Oh, that's you got to feel for Saradov there, because it's one of those really clumsy, slow spins that you know is happening and you can't do anything about.
Touched the grass on turning. That's what's happened there. She's just grazed it, and as we've talked about already, grass has been the main topic of today, in that it just has no grip and it's taken all of the grip away from the loaded side of her car, and it's just completely instantly spun around. There's nothing you can do about it, unfortunately, and you're just sort of a passenger at that point. Beyond the pit stop thing, there is categorically zero way you could possibly one-stop this race. There is no, this track, and the tyres have also increased fuel consumption a little bit because they have a bit more rolling resistance to these tyres. You go a bit slower on the straights with them. We've noticed that in pretty much every car that's got the new tyre model, that they've gone a bit slower on the straights, and so fuel usage has increased. And last season it was not possible to do a one-stop, and this season it's just flat out
not a chance.
Yeah. No, I will say you could do it, but on fuel mix 11 or 12,
Basically, if you're going Mazda pay,
Yeah, you should be able to do it.
at which point you might be so many laps down that you wouldn't actually have to push to
Yeah.
to do the second stint.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that I want to notice, I want to say, is that Raptor Racing has not, the team has not really wanted to let that P1 in AM go. We'd have all three of the Raptor Racing drivers leading that class at some point this race. Was it Mariani who had it, and after he kind of had his issues, then
Momano took over.
Yeah, Momano might have been. And now we have Elgato, so they don't want to give that AM lead up at any cost.
Well, let's look at the doctor's made a mistake. I may well have called the AM lead incorrectly. It's Daniele Momano is indeed the AM leader. So unless that's changed around, I haven't noticed. It could well be that I had called it incorrectly. Unfortunately, we don't have an easy way of telling the class leaders, with the exception of the leader of the race. So I may well have got that one incorrect. If so, my apologies. But that's actually an interesting, Legato. Try again. Ledato. That sounds a little bit too close to Elgato, one of our sponsors. And Momano. Very, very close together. So the Italians are really running strong at the head of the AM field at the moment.
Momano and Ludato, it's not as difficult as what we had yesterday with Waldo and Waldo.
Oh yeah, Von Waldo and Waldo. We did this. Oh, Victor Matios is in trouble. Victor Matios is in trouble. What has happened to you? Oh, let's go back a little bit. So we didn't quite see how that started.
Looked like a solo incident.
Unfortunately, yep. Oh, as the Spaniard goes headlong into the wall. He's still going, but yeah, that'll need a bit more than a panel beating, I suspect. As Gertz almost has now gone past Marvin Sluman. As Gertz now up to 14th position. Those new tyres he's using pretty well. He's now on the back of John Halliwell.
Yeah, definitely. This might get some other drivers to think about that. Changing tires might actually be a viable strategy for some of the other races.
Especially if we go to tracks where we're in hotter temperatures, not at night time like we are here. I'm just going to do a quick track temp check. It's 26 degrees track temperature, so tyre wear is not that high here. Whereas next week, Road America, I'm pretty sure will be in the daytime, and the rear tyres at Road America can sometimes get quite they get dragged around the high-speed corners a lot, which is, I know, weird to think about. A lot of times you think about front tyres getting abused there, but it actually tends to end up being the rear tyres getting quite punished. So we might see some more people choosing to take the new tyres there, especially if during this race we have a lot of people falling off the cliff come the end of the race, because there hasn't been a scenario for these drivers to actually test what's going to happen. Because in the Sebring 12 hours, the strategy was just change tyres at every stop, just because they're hour-long stints. So after every hour, they just get a new set of tyres, go, and don't worry about it. In the Sebring 90-minute races, you change at the pit stop because you go halfway through the race, change drivers, and do it like that. In ILMS, it's an hour-long race, and in IMSA, it's a 45-minute race.
So as Woodford has just gone off, he was way too slow into or way too late on the brakes into Christian corner, and how he managed to save that is beyond.
I didn't even lose that much time from it.
To nick your phrase from yesterday's race, that's a code brown.
That exactly, that's a code brown.
Wow, that was that's a bit mental. That would have. You got to think, if he hadn't have rotated his car, he narrowly missed the tyre barrier. If he hadn't have rotated his car as much as he had, and we're talking by a mere few feet there, a few centimetres, if he'd just not got at that much rotation, that would have been the end of his race.
And that's a corner that we saw him last season also have an issue with when he was leading by a huge amount of time.
Also, 1 he had an incident around there, and then also when I went to do some just basically laps in the practice session in the spectator drive, which is basically just like ghost lapping, so no one can see me but I can see them. Ross did the exact same thing where he went off at that corner, so he needs to be watching out for Christensen corner, because it's clearly his arch nemesis. Forget Holstein, forget Gainemeyer, it's actually that corner.
Exactly. Wow. Ooh, as he's looking a bit lively through Sunset Bend as well. He doesn't look particularly happy with the tires. He might actually have to change tires at the pit stop.
Well, he's pressing on nonetheless. I mean, if he's going to change tyres, he may as well burn the best out of what's left, which, by the way he's wandering off the road, would be not much left.
Oh, definitely not.
We will see, though, because we still have 27.5 minutes to go, and here's 5 seconds. Those on the stream, apologies for that noise that keeps going off. You guys in Discord won't hear it. It's my WhatsApp that's going off, basically telling me about certain things that have been announced here in the UK, but that's nothing to do with this particular race. That is not for this broadcast, but apologies for that noise. I can't stop it. It keeps pinging. So that will keep happening. My apologies for that. John Halliwell and Marvin Sluman, I think, have swapped round. They were fairly close together, we saw. We saw a big flash of the lights as well. Well, that was actually from Gert Zommers as he passed through. Oh, what's happened to Luca? Luca Lodato's had trouble. What's he done? Whoops! Now the tail of the Porsche let go. And he did brilliantly to keep that out of the wall. That could have been an absolute straight to the scene of the accident job for Luca Lodato. He did brilliantly to keep it out of the wall. However, Alex Schmidt is stationary. What's gone on here? Oh, dear. What's happened here? So he's following what I believe is Stephen Bromfield.
He's just locked up. I think he's either locked one of the axles and he's just snapped on him.
And he's out. He's and he's left the session. Wow, he was not pleased about that. Oh dear, oh dear. Another fatality of the race. We've lost quite a few. We've lost Sylvia Moraine, Michael Neumeier, Rihanna Hensra, Michael Mariani, Rana Luke, Andy Gorton, Roberto Edward, and now Alex Schmidt are retirees from this race. All those that, I will say all those. Michael Eden returned to the track some number of laps down. Oh, who was that?
Well, he almost didn't return to the track.
Yeah,
or at least left it almost.
Oh, it was Simone Cecchi. Ooh, what didn't mean to do that. That was a little bit close, as John Halliwell, speaking of him, has come back into the pits. He's the first one to come in for a second stop, I believe. Oh, wow, that was close. Yeah, 25.5 minutes remaining. And it is going to be quite interesting for those that don't take tyres, keeping it on the road.
Yeah, I mean, also, just on a slightly different topic, we talked about what might happen to Woodford as he gets sort of into the top 10 and whatever. He is closing in on Blair Mann, but past that, he's not really got the pace over anybody else, so 8th place might be the highest that Woodford can look to achieve, and that could have a massive dent into his championship. Of course, that would be 7th in class, because Dancy is up in 6th position overall, but it's not the best start that he wants to his championship defence.
And it's not really a place that we are used to seeing Mr. Woodford as well.
No, it's not a place he's accustomed to being in. Very much not. Oh, there's a battle possibly. It's Tom Hooper and Rick Van Dorn for 11th overall, and that is actually 3rd in the Pro-Ams. So that is quite a significant battle that is forming there. But after the second stops is when it's really going to get interesting, I would think. There's that damn noise again.
But if you look at that time, you know, they're doing 58, or, well, Hooper did a 57.9, so as a race driver you would say that's a 57.9, not a 58.
Yeah.
But Summons is like almost a second faster than those two.
He took tyres alright.
Yeah, but it's just, you know, the effect of the tyres that it could be this strong.
I mean, what we do have to remember, though, is Somers did a 56.5 in qualifying, Van Dorn did a 57.2, and Hooper did a 57.4. So the dynamic would actually is more how much of that is Sommer's tyres and how much of it is Sommer's
raw pace. Yeah.
raw pace at this, especially at this track.
Fair point. All will come to everything in the remaining part of the race.
Woodford has taken Blair Man. No,
No, he hasn't.
don't mind. But just Blair Man has had his times were like he had a spin for me.
I think he has.
He's losing time.
Yeah. I think Blair's had a problem somewhere because he's lost a fair chunk of time. And there is.
Yeah, he did a 58.0 last lap. That's very uncharacteristic of Blair.
But when are people going to take their second stop? That's going to be an interesting one to see. John Halliwell, after his second stop's down in 29th. Of course, is now going to be good. Of course, it should be good to the end of the race now. The race leaders are not all that far behind him. That is Alejandro Portacorvi, I believe. That is lap. Yes, it is. So he very nicely got out of the way.
I saw that from Portacorvi and couldn't see Talvar, so I was like, there's a car diving, and it's, he went for it. So I was like, that was quite a launch.
Jamie Smith is on the back of Daniele Mamano. That is the AM lead. 22nd overall. Mamano has been losing time against Smith, I think little by little for quite a while. And now Smith looking at trying to take the AM lead.
And Lodato has lost that position as well, and quite a big gap to the guy. Yeah.
It's 4 seconds behind Jamie Smith now. So, are we seeing a return to form for Jamie Smith? Something's happened to Thomas Lagney.
He's at the pits.
Oh, yeah, that's another car that's claimed. That's been claimed at that turn 3, I think it is. Yeah, too hot. Yeah, not going to turn that. That's what Ross Woodford barely survived that. Thomas Lagney sadly did not. He's returned to the pits. He is out. But he's not technically out. I always say they're out, and then half an hour later they reappear. But I say they're out when they jump back to the pits, because we're not likely to see them.
Yeah, that's normally the sign of the rage quit, almost. He hasn't left the session. That might just be because he's spectating. As that was a slightly weird pit entry from Jamie Smith in front of him. He sort of used the barrier to slow him down or something. Or was he really close? No, that was a very interesting pit entry from Jamie Smith. He missed his box, hit the wall, and it's just not going very well there.
There we go. We do see it quite a few times where people miss the pit boxes, but it must be just...
I was just more surprised that he hit the wall, really, because it's not something you expect to see in the pit lane, is that they actually just hit the pit wall.
No, I can imagine. Has Mikel Parry had a problem?
I think so. He suddenly were in the top. I think he
just appeared in the top 10. No, he drove into the pits of his own accord. I think that's our... Yeah, there we go. That's our tools conning us there. There's a Dancy is in, so quite a few people have come in for their second stop. We won't go through all the names. There's quite a lot of them. Is Talvar? No, Talvar's nowhere near the pits. Well, speaking of Luca Lodato, Dan Alpole is now ahead of him. So yeah, Luca Lodato is struggling. He's really struggling. His lap times have fallen off quite badly.
And that might just be, tires that we're seeing right there. That they're just, going over the cliff. And once you are over the cliff, you're just...
descending badly.
Oh my goodness. And you can actually, if they really go off, you can lose up to 4 seconds on a lap. So you really don't want to
you'll lose a pit stop in 10 laps.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you will also at one point hit the wall.
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah, because you just don't have any grip at all. I just remember how bad it was when we went down to 80%. So getting down. Ooh, as I saw somebody go off. That was Sarah in Christensen corner, but she saved it. She made it Woodford.
What? That corner is causing a bit of a headache. Let's just go back a little bit. Have a look. There's Sarah. Let's see who she's chasing there.
Craig Dancy.
I was dancing. Oh, the tail let go on her. But yeah, she managed to keep that one under the wall. I bet even that would have woken her up a little bit.
Yeah, 7 for landing.
Yeah, Lawrenson and Nadalik have come in as well. So some of the top runners coming in. Top 3 yet to see the pit lane for the second time. And even still, Talvar is still getting the 56s in. Absolutely stunning pace from our race leader.
He's really fast, but what is going to be interesting this time is to see if Holstein is going to go for the overcut because or undercut, because now Talva is getting up to a few cars to lap. That could be something that Holstein could use, because you're losing time by lapping people, no matter how good they are to give you space. You will always, because you're just getting, they are distraction out there, so you might lose a bit of your braking point here and there, and that just adds up to a couple of tenths, because these drivers are just on it every single lap.
I think it's incredible that they can stay that focused. A big flash of the lights there from Renault Talvar to John Halliwell, and very deeply, that's one of the VEC cars. That's going to be Gaillard. No, they tried to, well, they did indeed get out of the way. Very nicely done. What's going on now? Nothing's going on there. Stephen Bromfield coming out of the pit box.
Leader pits.
And he does indeed. Along with Holstein's come in. Is Bennett going to do the same? What we saw last time. They pretty much all came in line to stand. Yep, in he comes. James is up to James Pinsker's up to 4th, and I didn't just realise that actually. I mean, he's a long way behind the leaders. There's some 24 seconds down from the top spot, but he's still up into, because he had early troubles, didn't he?
Yeah, I think some of it might be pit stops though, so we will have to see where it plays out, because
and Ross is on the back of Blair Mann as well. So
Martin and Alfie have gone behind James, but have also pitted.
Drew.
Woodford, that was late. Oh my god, he was almost going into the back of Blair Mann.
Wow, yeah, he was late on the brakes. Talk about not wanting to lose as much time as he wants. Wow.
Definitely.
I mean, the thing is with this, with the Sebring pit lane is, you can get away with a bit of speeding. It's a bit lenient sometimes. You can get quite a few meters down the pit lane before it gives you a penalty for speeding. So Ross was probably taking that into account when he thought about closing in that much. And
absolutely owned it into the pit lane. Wow.
Oh, as he actually overtook Blair Mann in the pit stops.
Oh, he did. Wow.
BMW having, I think, a slightly smaller.
What? Who's that that's off the road? That is Chechi again. Flashing the lights as well. So what's happened to him? Is he tangled with something? No, he's had a spin of his own accord. So it's probably just a flash of the light out of blind frustration then.
Or just a flash of the light to maybe let somebody by.
Could be. Oh, wow. Just as I cut away from the replay there, it looked like he actually got hit by something.
Oof.
Oh, as I've now jumped to Jamie Smith. Never mind. So he may well have been frustration if he did get a clout from someone. Let's have a look at the incident limit. Ross is on 15, as is Blair Mann, who's just gone past. So he incurs another 3. He'll serve a stop-go, which will be very detrimental to his position. He's all the way up in 6th. My goodness me, Ross. Give everyone else a chance, will you, man? It's very sporty. I tell you, it was very sporting of him to have a problem in the first lap, but he's undoing it as best he can.
He is, but I will say, when we are looking at the pace of the true front runners, I'm not sure that he would have gone away with this one.
I don't think he would have done.
He did start P3, so...
Very true. And Talvar has been absolutely on it.
Oh, he has.
All race long. As I'm looking at Gert Sommers now on the back of Rick Van Dorn, and Craig Dancy is just up the road. And that is for well, Chris Yardley actually leads the programs at the moment, but Chris has not been back in the pits again. So again, flash of the lights from Gert Zommers. Rick Van Dor does not have to yield, but they are both Tepper, aren't they? Yes. So that's probably what that indication is about. I am quicker than you. I am technically on your team. Get out of the way. So Cristiani has to pit. Actually, the Pro-Am lead is in the hands of Andreas Lutus, who has been through the pits a second time. I just realised that, so I didn't see that change happen. Craig Dancy is 6 seconds near enough behind newcomer Andreas Lutus. So the Gert is in.
I think Dancy might have taken tyre because he seems to have
well spotted.
He's taken such a long time in the pit.
Well spotted, yes.
But when you're saying that Lutus is leading, what about Yardley? Isn't he?
Yeah, but Yardley hasn't pitted yet. Yardley needs to come in for the second time. Yeah. So that technically Yardley is leading the Pro-Ams, but he won't be for long. I think it's fair to say.
If you're looking on the front of the car, you can see that it's laughing at me at the moment.
The grin. There it is, wrong one. You can't really see it in the dark, but it is there. The good old grinning Ford. But
yeah, Yardley pitted lap 17 first time around, so it makes sense if he pits on lap 34. One thing that's quite interesting is if we throw our minds back to the opening race of last season, which was in the night at a certain Imola track in Italy, the one driver that won that race, and in sort of a dominant fashion, kind of out of nowhere, was Rainer Talvar. He led every lap that race. He also took pole that time. He hasn't taken pole this time, unfortunately. I mean, what can you do? Just like... But he's led every lap today. He's currently got the fastest lap, and I wouldn't put it past him to keep that fastest lap with not many people taking tyres in the pro category. So yeah, it's kind of weird how we've got this parallel up front, but instead of Ross Woodford, I mean, neither Ross or Holstein were actually hounding. So I've actually just thought about that. Woodford was kind of hounding Rayner for the first stint of Imola last season, and as was Holstein, and then the second stint came along, and they've both dropped back in their respective season. So it's almost just quite amazing how similar this race has been for Talvar, and well, with 11 minutes to go, it looks like it might be a repeat.
Ooh, be careful with the commentators first there. So, yeah.
Too late.
If he can survive that, he can survive anything.
That genie's out of the bottle now.
I've made that mistake as well.
So Chris Yardley has come in. That's going to hand the lead of the Prams over properly now to Andreas Lutus, who is losing time quick to Craig Dancy through no fault of his own. Wow! Craig Dancy with a 56.7 last time around. He's flying. He was quicker than Talvar and Holstein in the last lap. So Craig Dancy is absolutely flying. But then you have to remember that Craig Dancy was, in the early part of the race, very high up. He was in sort of 5th or 6th, as Luca Lodato has had a spin. It looks like he's on his own. What's he done in the Porsche? That's turn 3 again, isn't it?
And that is actually from the AM lead.
I don't know. That would be Mamano.
Yeah, no. He was in the AM lead.
Was he?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, and he's had to be very careful. He's doing it properly. He's having to be careful about how he rejoins the track there, and that's cost him a massive amount of time. But yeah, the AM lead now in the hands of Daniele Mamano. Jamie Smith is 2.8 seconds behind. The moment you'll see, well, there is Jamie Smith. He's coming into the shot. So yeah, he's could do it, but looks like it's advantage Italy, advantage Raptor Racing for the AM Championship. But the Pro-Ams, that one's going to be wide open because Dancy is really closing in quick on Lutus, and a big flash of the lights there from Craig Dancy on. Who is that? He's having a go at
Cecchi.
Oh, Simone Cecchi again on the camera. Ooh, slow that one down. I could just see Cecchi slamming into the back of Dancy. Yeah, Craig was not happy about that. So yeah, I wonder if he's burnt the best out of those tyres, because his progress does seem to have slowed a little. But he still had a great run up into third in class. Rick Van Dorn is 2.6 behind him in class.
It'll be interesting to forget whether he can catch up to Lutus, because last time around he was pretty much bang on a second quicker, and the gap between them was about 6.5 seconds with 6 laps to go. So it could be really nip and tuck as to whether Lutus and Summers could get into sort of a last lap battle, and we'll see how that turns out. I think Dancy, provided again that nothing goes wrong or anything like that, any commentators' curses or anything, he's got the get the AM lead back, because he's just so much quicker on these fresher tyres, and I think that's what people need to watch out for. Is in a track like this on 26 degrees, if fresh tyres are giving you this much advantage.
Holstein spun! From second place, he's been there for so long. He still is in second position, but... Oh! No, he was flashing his lights as he span there. That was very strange. It's Victor Matios. That must be out of frustration, because Victor did nothing wrong there. And you could just tell the point the tyres they go, and he's clunked the wall, trying to recover. He's still in second. If we return to live now, he's still 5 seconds ahead of Alex Bennett. He's now got, that is Matios,
Jamie in front of him.
Jamie Smith, yeah, and Jamie's letting the Porsche go. Oh, was that someone else in trouble? No, that's no mind. I saw someone speed on 0. That's Martin Nedelic. He's been in the pits for nearly 10 minutes. That's why. But yeah, that now gives Rainer Talbot a 12-second lead. So unless he falls off the road exceedingly dramatically in the remaining 7 minutes, that's all that's left of this race, then victory is very much going to the Estonian. Very nicely done. And Tom Hoop, oops, that's Rick Van Dorn that's recovering. What's he done? There he goes. Oh, just really clumsy coming out of turn 13? No, turn 10. So very, one of those, just, you know, you've gone in a bit too deep. It's just really clumsy to recover your car.
Well, one thing that is also, you know, worth pointing out is that at the moment in Pro-Am, the 2 of the 3 guys have actually changed tyres.
Oh, John Halliwell, well indeed, yeah, 2 of them have changed tyres. As John Halliwell has, and exactly the same point, has locked up the brakes, and around he goes, losing a fair amount of position there, jumps back on track, and away he goes. That's Philippe Gaillard that's still doing the laps. But, unfortunately, he's not going to gain any positions. He's quite some way behind the rest of the field.
Lutus has picked up the pace though in that Pro-Am lead. He's almost lapping a second quicker than he was before, which has kind of ruined someone's chance at P2 in the eventual Pro-Am standings as everything sorts itself out, because the gap has sort of stabilised around 6 seconds between them. I don't see that much changing it. It's just more of the focus on Dancy versus Lutus as to who will get the Pro-Am win.
Dancy was half a second quicker than Talvar last lap around. Okay, they were a minute apart, but
I mean, that was also Dancy's fastest lap of the race.
It was indeed. So absolutely flying now is Craig Dancy, who wants that fast win. He looks very set to get it all. Philip Schiff and Stephen Bromfield have been side by side for a while, and Bromfield just slots ahead of the BMW, but just like Philip Schiff is not wanting to let that one go. He's just weaving around behind, dives on the inside of the Ferrari. Can he get that one turned in? He can indeed. I think Bromfield kind of saw that coming, and it gave the necessary room. Philip Schiff determined to make the pass, and he has done. That was 18th overall. But let's jump back to Dancy, who's now just shy of 3/10 off the back of Lotus. And you've got to think that that's the gearbox camera looking back at Craig Dancy. Those lines have been getting brighter and brighter and brighter very, very quickly. So do you think he'll just let him go, or do you think he's going to fight? I mean, this is class win after all.
I don't think he has the weapons to fight. That's the problem. He's pretty much defenseless. He'll defend, but with the amount of grip that Dancy has, he might even be able to just go around the outside here. And that's not. Yeah, look, he's just got so much more infinite grip. I mean, The tighter line obviously will give some advantage to Lutus, but the fact that Dancy's managed to hold it around the outside there and has got a much better exit as they go down the straight and will have the inside line for turn 1, that should pretty much be job done for Dancy, and that will put him back up into the Pro-Am lead. And I think he probably won't look back.
I dare say that was brilliantly driven by Craig Dancy. Danced his way around the outside of Lutus. I'm pretty sure we made that particular pun last season as well. Craig Dancy then leading the way in the Pro-Ams. Gerd Thomas is about 4.5 seconds behind. There he is in the Ford.
But he was a second faster than those two.
I suspect that was Lutus fighting Dancy.
Well, that would probably be the compromise line he took through Sunset, doing most of the work there. And
we had a
3 laps left.
Ferrari coming back on the track in a weird way. Just right behind them. Was it,
I didn't see who that was.
It was Pi.
Yeah, just look back to what happened. Car just didn't stop.
Oh, Michael Pi, let's have a look. Oh, where have we gone? There you are. We may have gone back a little far. No. Oh, it's going to be at 13 again. Oh, very long way off. Oh, Bromfield! Stephen Bromfield! Oh, after such a great drive, what has happened here? And the tail's going to go. Yep, exactly as we were told. Oh, wrong button. The tyres are just beginning to cry enough. I think John Halliwell just had a bit of an off as well. No.
He got a little bit out of shape, tiny, but not really much to speak about.
So less than 2 minutes to go until the checker flag falls. Awaiting this man, Rainer Talbot. It's well, I wonder if he will say he's all gone his own way, but it's certainly been a very, very dominant performance. Do we think that it's just he's good here, or can Rainer Talbot keep doing that kind of performance?
We'll have to see. He's done a lot of racing at Sebring over the past 2 weeks. Has have a lot of drivers, to his credit, but he's always been fairly good at Sebring, and he's done a lot of races here. So it will be interesting to see when we go to a track like Road America where he hasn't done that much racing. I've known Rainer for pretty much almost his entire iRacing career. I don't even know if he's done a lap of Road America before.
Oh, wow.
So he might have done it on other sims, but I'm struggling to think of whether he's actually done any laps there at all. I think he probably has, but not that much. So it'll be a very interesting test for him as he goes to Road America.
As I have completely lost the game at the moment.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Well, retrace your steps. Where did you put it?
Well, everybody is standing still.
Oh, well done. You're looking at something very different to us then. Right, so this will be the final lap then, as the checker flag will fall in 30 seconds time. As quick as Rainer Tavares, he will not complete the lap from turn 6 in 30 seconds. But it has been a very dominant performance. What's going on with Dan Alpine? Nothing. He's just going for a slow corner. I thought his speed was going very, very low there. He was absolutely fine. I think everyone else has finally resolved whatever battles they were in previously. The Pro-Am's very much in the hands of Craig Dancy now. He's 1.6 seconds ahead of Lutus, and the AMS is with Daniele Mamano, who has opened up the gap between himself and Jamie Smith to the tune of 5.3 seconds now. So the checker flag is out. So we just got to wait for Mr. Talbot to get there, which, unless he decides to park it, he's not looking like it's going to go anyone else's way.
I mean, he can afford to go almost 14 seconds slower through Sunset Bend now. Because that's just how big his gap is. And I mean, if I was Rainer, unless I'm on like for my fastest lap of the race, I'd probably just brake 5 meters earlier into Sunset, because you don't want to blow it all away
on the final turn of the final lap rather. But didn't happen, of course. Your winner here in Sebring It's number 121, the Team Tapper BMW of Rainer Talvar. I'm just going to wait for him to slow down just in case it's caught us out. Nope, he is pulling over. He has got the day. It is 14.5 seconds back for Christoph Holstein. Flash of the lights for the Porsche. And then Alex Bennett rounds out the podium for the AM class, the Pro-Ams. He's going to go to Craig Dancy. There he is, working his way through 15-16.
Almost a minute, well, over a minute away from Talvar.
Flash of the lights. I don't think you need to flash your lights there. I think he's just having a good old time.
I think it's a celebratory flash of the lights there.
Hope
He
it's not premature. I mean, if he bins it here, then he will feel like a complete wally. But of course, he does not. Number 255. It's worth noting that Ross Woodford comes home in 6th position. Yes, 6th place overall.
Great recovery drives.
Very much so. So Craig Dancy takes the win in the Pro-Ams. Andreas Lutus, what a way to make your debut in the league. Well done to you, sir. Gerd Zommers has already crossed the line and jumped out of the session, so we can't look at him in 3rd position for the Pro-Ams. And the AMs is going to go. They've already finished because they were a lap down as Daniele Mamano has taken the AM win. Jamie Smith too. Andrew Portacorvi has taken the 3rd spot in the AM class. So still some cars to come over the line. Dan Alpole is the last car on the lead lap. He will come home 17th. Look at that, 17th position. It's over half the field a lap down. Admittedly, we had quite a few retirements due to quite a few incidents, some of which we saw, some of which we just couldn't because there were too many of them. Absolute craziness, but that is Dan Alpole over the line. So then, let's have a look at the results. Rainer Talvar takes the win by 14.5 seconds over Christoph Holstein. Then it is Bennett, Lawrenson, Pinsker, Woodford, Mann, Craig Dancy taking the Pro-Am win. Lutus, Zommers, Hooper, Van Dorn, Van Putten, Sluman, Yardley, Boucher, Goodwin, Schiff, Dove, Alpole, Halliwell, Bromfield, Matios, Mamano taking the AM win. Smith, Pontecorvi, Cooper, Ladato, Van Eyck, Pari, Reithmuller, Chachi, Cully, Lagney, Goyard, Nadleek. Edens did see the checker flags. Those that didn't were Schmidt, Edward, Gorton, Luke, Marani, Henstra, Neumeier, and Moraine. Holy moly, that was absolutely brilliant. What a way to start the season off.
Oh, definitely. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think it was really good. I think the thing is, though, that we've made more questions than we've answered questions today, because we've now got the question of can Talvar actually be our dark horse in the championship because he's put on such a dominant display this season? But like I alluded to, this was sort of a repeat of his win last season, so maybe not. But again, it's a wide open question. Is Woodford gonna not be able to defend his championship now that he switched to the Porsche, which is the fastest car for the season? How will the tyres work out in the subsequent races when we're not at night time? And many more things that we will probably find out as we go through the season. But we haven't actually really learned that much.
Oh, definitely not.
No, indeed. Let's have some insight then from our 2nd place finisher, Christoph Holstein.
Hello, everyone.
Hello to you, sir. Wow. A lot of fighting going on. Well, we say a lot of fighting. Were you just holding station behind Rainer in the first stint, or were you really sort of looking for an opportunity to try and pass him?
Neither. I was hanging on to dear life to stay with him. Yeah, I tried to just stay with him, and then I fricked up the stopping into the pits, and that's where that opportunity went.
So was it just a case of once the slipstream was gone, you weren't able to close him down?
Yeah. I was hoping that his tires would go off, but that wasn't the case, and then I just pushed a little bit too hard in the final few laps. Got that spin, but yeah. I think I tried my best, and yeah, can't be too unhappy really about the result in the end, I think.
What are you looking forward to in the season ahead?
Oh, I mean, track-wise, it's a pretty standard calendar, really. There are some tracks which are a bit meh. Most of the tracks are fine. I like the new tire model, to be honest. Tire wear seems to be a bit more tricky to handle this season, so that's pretty good. And I think for Alex and me, it was a good season opener for our team. Our sister team didn't have a really good season opener, but I think we've done well. I think to just start things off, just kick things off.
Very much so. Any questions, gentlemen?
Just one from me. What does it feel like to be back in the Porsche? Because I know that you drove that for many seasons before, and is it nice to be back in your old favourite car?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've driven it obviously last season. I think it's gotten a bit better. No, actually, I haven't driven it last. What am I talking about? No, I haven't driven it last season, obviously, but I like that it's a lot more competitive now with the new tire model again. It's a bit of a handful sometimes to drive, but it's much more fun than the Beamer, and yeah. So I'm very happy that I can drive this car competitively again.
Awesome stuff. Well, Road America next week, is that a yay or a nay for you?
I've driven that track so many times, and it's gone very well sometimes. It's gone also horribly wrong sometimes. So we shall see. It's just like everyone knows that track so well. So it's like, I think it's gonna be, super close quali again, and maybe with more stuff going, maybe more contenders for the win next time out. Since some people had problems today, so yeah.
Awesome stuff. Well, good luck for the rest of the season. I'm sure we will speak to you again. Thank you very much, Christoph Holstein.
Bye. See you next time.
Yep. James, who should we chat to next?
We should probably chat to our race winner, shouldn't we, Mr. Rayner?
I think it's a good idea. Let's have a chat to Rayner Talva.
Hello.
Wow, that was quite a performance, sir.
It was a good race, yeah.
Were you at all concerned? You were chased for a long time, really until the first pit stop, and then you decided to wiggle the big toe a bit more on the gas pedal. Were you concerned at all that Holstein was going to make a challenge for the lead?
I mean, at the start, he was keeping up quite well. Then I saw that I need to save a tiny bit to go another lap, and that really wasn't.
I see. I mean, we were told that you were quite an expert of this particular track. What are your thoughts moving forward to Road America next week?
I really don't know. I'm not going to make any early assumptions and just see how it...
I see. Any questions, gents?
Yeah, do you think that this season, with the start that you have this time, that you can, make a championship run, as Woodford had a not a good start to the season, and just the confidence of maybe beating Holstein as you have?
I hope I'm in the right car this season, really, and that should give a big boost to the championship fight. And yeah, just see how everything goes.
Awesome stuff. Well, I'm sure we'll be chatting to you again as the season progresses. Thank you very much, Rayner Talva.
Thank you.
Nick, who should we chat to next?
Should we take Lawrence Alfie?
Let's indeed have a chat to a recent promotee, Alfie Lawrenson.
Hello.
Well, now up with the big boys properly, I see.
Yeah, it's a good start to being a pro driver.
A good result indeed. Were you anticipating being sort of in the top segment, or were you just taking the result as it comes?
I was taking the result as it comes. I had fairly good pace, but not good tyre wear, so I was a bit unsure on what my overall pace would be, but obviously there was a lot of carnage on that one, and I benefited quite a bit from that, and I managed to secure 4th, but if it wasn't for the carnage, I probably would have been 8th or somewhere, probably around that area.
You see, well, in fairness, I mean, your fastest lap was right up there, so is it just a case that we've been kind of told that this season might be kind of dictated by tyre wear or tyre management? Was that fair to say, or is it still a bit track dependent on that?
Well, Sebring's one of the tracks where tyre wear is quite low, so at tracks like World Road America next week, there'll be a lot of strategy for if people are stopping or not. So yeah, there'll be a bigger amount to show for tyre wear next week.
Ooh, that will definitely be fun to see. Any questions, gents?
No, not really.
No, just well done on your debut in Pro, because it's good to see you up. I mean, almost on the podium on your first race. So keep up the good work, and good luck for Road America.
Right, cheers.
Yeah, definitely true. I mean, you certainly were showed the pace last season and rightly promoted up into the Pro category. I have no doubt we will chat to you again. Thank you very much, Alfie Lawrenson. Let's have a natter to someone that didn't have such a hot race. That would be Sarah Dove.
Hello.
Hello, Sarah. Didn't go your way tonight.
No. Yeah.
How was now the first lap looked utter carnage from our side. There was honestly too many incidents for us to keep up with. What was it like, down in the trenches?
Scary.
How well did you manage to circumnavigate? It was impossible for us to keep up with everybody. How was the opening stages for you?
Well, I didn't get a good start, so people were going like 3 wide with me, I think. Yeah, 3 wide with me up to the turn 1. And then there was a big crash in turn 1, which I avoided, and then there was a crash in turn 2, which I avoided. And then coming into the hairpin, the person inside me missed their braking point, locked up, killed 2 people in front of me, and then as I was going around the hairpin, the other people behind me were on my inside and they hit me and spun me.
So you almost got away with it.
Almost. I couldn't go any further on the track. There was no track left for me to be anywhere. So, but and that put me, instead of being like 10th, I ended up being 37th or something. So it didn't go well.
So what are your thoughts for Road America next week? Is that going to play more to your strengths, or again is that going to be try and duck out of the way of the trouble?
I'm going to try and duck. I don't know if it'll play to my strengths, because obviously it's the new tyre model, and last season at this track I qualified 13th in class and 25th, but this time I was 4th in class, so I don't really know.
We will
see. Just have to see.
We will see how it goes. Any questions, gents?
No. Well, it's always great to see you back in the trusty fort. So let's hope for some better racing for you down the line. I always a fan favorite, to be honest.
Thank you.
You'll always have fans here, Sarah. Thank you very much for your time, Sarah Dove. And finally, there is one more person wanting to have a chat to us, and that is James Pinsker.
Hello.
Hello to you. Well, that was a little chaotic for you.
I think that's an understatement, really. I mean, it all started in qualifying, where I got Michael Neumeier. I'll name him. I'll name the guy. His first race in the league, and I don't know. I guess he needs lessons, because at the end of his first qualifying lap, he blocked me and Blair. Just completely screwed my qualifying, really, because then I had to go off. I had to do a first lap quali run, which on the new tyres really cold. I was very lucky to get 6th in that. And then in the race, I mean, it doesn't help when your teammate rear ends a guy who then spins into you, which drops you to 45th. not the way I wanted to start. But from there, it was all positive. I was very happy with my pace and overtook 40 people to finish 5th, so I guess I can be pretty happy.
Yeah, finishing 5th overall was a hell of a recovery drive.
Yeah, I mean, pre-race, if you offered me 5th, I'd have taken it. So I guess I can be pretty happy. But still, I'm pretty sure Alfie is going to the stewards. I mean, he's my teammate, so I wouldn't have taken him to the stewards for him. But there's another salty guy involved who's certainly going to send him to the stewards. So I could actually get 4th if he gets a post-race penalty, which would be really nice. I mean, yeah, 12 points. I can't really argue with that.
Yeah, we did think that these stewards would have a lot to do after all the chaos going on in the early parts of the race. How were you finding the recent changes of the tyre model and what have you?
I'm not 100% sure yet, because obviously I've only driven one track really. So we need to do more and more running really across tracks to see how the changes really work. Definitely qualifying's a bit frustrating now in terms of that the first lap is practically doesn't matter. Like the first lap, the tyres are too cold. Apart from that, obviously the tyre wear is a little bit higher this season, which is interesting. I think we saw a couple of people change tyres at the pit stops, which also inherited me a few positions in the race. So yeah, I think actually in terms of the handling of the cars, they're pretty similar, at least in my experience. But yeah, it's pretty fun.
Awesome stuff. Any questions, gents?
I think James has actually just sort of answered all of my questions in the race round, and I kind of just wanted to get his opinions on the starting incident, because we didn't really cover it on the stream, but I had a look at it. But yeah,
complete. I mean, yeah, I've talked to Alfie, and yeah, he's put up blame. He's just gone straight into the back of Arjun in turn 1, so completely on him. He'll get a penalty for that for sure.
Well, it's going to be an interesting season, I think, with all the changes going on. And I'm sure we'll be chatting to you again. Thank you very much, James Pinsker. And that is going to be it for this evening. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream. A great pleasure to have you on board. Thank you very much, James Clay and Nick Domino, for keeping me on the straight and narrow. It's always a good pleasure to have you guys in the commentary box. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, always a pleasure. It's a hard job to keep you there, but we try our best.
It is, and you bear the brunt well. Thank you very much to our sponsors. Without you guys, AOR would not continue to grow. We will be back next week for Road America, but there's plenty of racing going on in between then and now, so do check back with us then. Until then, thank you very much, and good night!